This is the video demonstration of products developed by MayJuun and OpenCityLabs to be demoed for HIMSS with a specific focus of interoperability and social determinants of health as of April 2023. My name is John Manning. I'm CEO of MayJuun and a practicing physician in Charlotte, North Carolina. Later in the video, Matt Bishop, who's the founder and CEO of OpenCityLabs, will be demoing their product as well. And we've had a number of various roles and collaborations in a number of different, I'll just say, national groups with a focus on some of the things that we're going to be demonstrating today. A lot of this kind of follows the user story from the Hernandez family, which has roots from Project Unify, is currently being submitted as Gravity persona candidates. And the persona that we're going to be looking at today is Ruth Hernandez, who is the mother of Sarah, the grandmother of James and Madison, and essentially the person who essentially lives in a multi-generational household in Temperance, Michigan. So she's just turned 66 as of March. She typically considers herself pretty healthy, but because Sarah, Madison, Jameson, and sometimes John, the ex-husband of Sarah, will live in her house, and she's living in essentially a small subsidized apartment. This can create a lot of stress, both financial with regards to housing stability and food insecurity. Matt Bishop will talk about the closed loop referral process and demo that using Navigator 360. And through MayJuun, we'll talk about two what are called white label applications, meaning they can be themed and branded differently. Questionario is what Ruth will fill out as she answers the PRAPARE Survey and specifically questions about food and housing insecurity. And Recetario, which is what her physician, Dr. Carla Sanchez, will be using to manage the overall social care needs, both for Ruth as well as for other patients that she's caring for on shift. This really is to focus on that role of interoperability. And let's just go ahead and get started. So this is Recetario in light mode, in dark mode, with different themes, different scales, and essentially with the ability for you to have one application that allows you to see a person or patient or user, as well as the tasks that have been requested, the ones that are active and in progress, and the ones that are complete. And as they're being filled out, to also be able to see what these answer choices are and if scores are present to see those as well. You can filter based on the questions that are still in progress versus the questions that are active. You can certainly search through everything as well if you want to find a specific user. And as you work your way through one aspect to the next, what you can do is you can let's select a person. This is what Recetario looks like if you're on a tablet. And this is what Recetario looks like if you're on a phone. So, it's built for desktop, but there's a number of different ways that you can quickly switch between one element to the other so that you can be as effective as you can, because you may not have all of those resources available to you. Similarly, so that was showing mock-up data. This is showing actual live fire data. And this is Recetario as well, themed differently, and in a theme that also matches the theme for Questionario. And if your computer switches over to light mode, both of them will update in real time. So just before Ruth's appointment, Dr. Sanchez is working with Crystal, and Crystal fills out ACEs very quickly using keyboard shortcuts from 1 to 5 and submits this over. And as I refresh this, you should see that Crystal's questions have now updated and are complete. And here we are. And here are the questions that she had just filled out. But Crystal speaks English. Ruth does not. She's primarily Spanish speaking, or at least more comfortable in Spanish. And so what Dr. Sanchez is going to do is she's going to have Ruth fill out the PRAPARE survey as well as the ACEs survey. Within Recetario, Dr. Sanchez is able to quickly set up questionnaires or plan definitions, as well as multiples, and can search through them as well. If there's a large list, she can actually do a little bit more of a search. The plan definitions are big groups of questionnaires to make her life a little bit easier if there's a standard set that is sent repeatedly. And so we're going to go over to Ruth's email here on the right side. And this survey has been sent. If you look right here, Ruth has received an email that says that it is here's the survey and we're ready for you to log in. Once Ruth has logged in, and we've shown Smart on Fire launches and a number of different launches for there. Ruth's language is actually defaults to Spanish, and I'll just fill out ACEs in Spanish and then go back to English for prepare, just so that you can see what those actual questions are. And if you notice, as she fills out these questions as well, she's going to decline this answer, and she'll just kind of keep clicking through. And as we work through this, you'll be able to see that even though everything that Ruth sees is in Spanish, the languages from Dr. Sanchez's perspective remain in English.
One important aspect of Cuestionario is when and how you show consent. And that may vary based on the needs of the organization or state-based laws. So we've been as dynamic as we can in reflecting the needs of our clients. So that could be at the start of the journey of Cuestionario, that could be midway through, or that could be at the very end. Seeing how this looks at the very start, you'll essentially have a quick welcome screen, an ability to update your information, and then once you've scrolled to the end, you may see essentially a questionnaire that's embedded that allows you to agree to the following, and then a digital signature is sufficient for you to actually move on to the full screen. Notably, we've actually included that for some state considerations where the parent and the child would also put in their signature, but that, again, we were trying to be flexible and match the needs of our client. Here is a questionnaire that actually has an embedded consent, where if you only want the team to see your score, you would just say, please report my score only, and then answer these questions, and they would not have any access to the answers that you're putting here. And then finally, if you have consent at the end of the questionnaire, what that would look like is you have a little bit of information. You can decide if you actually want to opt in or opt out of sharing some of these results for various services. And then after you've submitted this, you as the patient would not be able to see this, but the scores that I had mentioned over here would essentially be an amalgam of all of the question answers that you've given. So that's essentially how we're working with consent from the beginning, the middle, and the end of the questionnaires within Cuestionario.
So as Ruth fills out the PRAPARE survey, she's going to say, she'll click over to the next. She's going to answer a few of these questions. So her language is Spanish, and we'll say that there are 5 people in her household. She does have housing, but she's still worried about losing her housing for the reasons that we had discussed earlier. We'll say she has a part-time job and Medicare at this point. And we're going to skip this question. We have mentioned food insecurities. We've also mentioned the housing insecurities as well. And we'll just add some additional questions that show up whenever you just, if you clicked yes to other, then you'll have additional fields that you can fill out as well. And we'll say that lack of transportation is not an issue currently, and we'll just go ahead and fill out the remainder of these questions. And so as she fills this out, she's going to submit all of her answers, which means that they're now essentially locked in. She can't make changes to this. And Dr. Sanchez will be able to see those responses and be able to help with some of these social needs. The next part that comes from this essentially are the goals, which I will hand over to Matt Bishop to show, and to take that perspective all the way over to the closed loop referrals process.
This is a demo of OpenCityLabs Navigator 360. Here we have Carla Sanchez, a doctor who's treating her patient Ruth Hernandez, and she's received notification from the assessment that Ruth is facing housing instability and food insecurity. And looking at her patient record, we can see she also has type 2 diabetes and hypertension. We've gone ahead and we've created goals to address the housing problem and the food and achieving food insecurity. And what you're going to see here from clicking on the resource search is that we're recommending programs and services based on the patient's health conditions that are nearby. And we're going to go ahead and make the referral to a navigation service of the Area Agency on Aging, because this organization has been well known to do very comprehensive assessments and assistance with all types of navigation. And we can document what this referral is about. We're really looking to address both the comprehensive social needs as well as the comorbidities of understanding that kind of comorbidity context of the patient's health conditions as well. And we're looking to achieve all of the goals. And so I'm just going to collect consent from my client here, or my patient, and this is going to be a referral that goes out to our good friend Betsy and Ara from the Area Agency on Aging. So we can see we've made this referral. Now let's log in from the perspective of Betsy. So see the referral has arrived here. We can update its status. We have all this context for the particular patient. And while we don't have time to demonstrate the entire comprehensive assessment, we will, in this demo, just document how one might document that an assessment took place. So we did an assessment of barriers in food insecurity. We're going to conduct an assessment of progress toward goals to achieve housing stability, housing security, that is. We're going to need to educate we're going to have to assist them with valuation of eligibility, because we know there is this home delivered meals program that provides medically tailored meals. And then we also want to educate Ruth about SNAP. Get her agreement or interest to see if she's actually interested in this program. All right. Great. Great. So we've done this education. We've documented all of these different procedures as part of treating this particular client of ours. And now let's go in and actually make the referrals. So we can make a referral for the medically tailored meals program. These are optional fields. We don't have to fill them out, but I like to be comprehensive. Collect consent again. Let's go ahead and make the referral for the rental assistance program. And here shows that these are the different protocols, the ways that this particular organization can receive this referral. And we really aim to meet each organization in their system of record so they can make and receive their referral in their system of record. And I have to indicate that rental payment assistance and collect consent. And finally, there's one more program that we want to complete this referral. We have the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. And what you're going to see here is we actually have a very in-depth eligibility screening process regarding the eligibility rules. And so I can just indicate what my answers to these questions, for example, and we can see by clicking show eligible only where this particular client, Ruth, is actually eligible. We're helping her. We can then go in and help her with her application. And what this is doing is it's leveraging all the information we have on Ruth so that we can autofill this application form. And we've created a web form without coding there, and that here we have that information then gets saved into a PDF. So while I'm going to demo a referral process with the Department of Transitional Assistance and the recipient of that referral, I just wanted to emphasize that even if there was not a recipient of the referral, if there's not someone on the other end, we can collect the fax numbers. We have collected the fax numbers and the application forms and eligibility for 300 programs, and we can then fax it so that even that the application will get there, or we can print it out and fill it in. Now there's a much more in-depth process of attaching documents like IDs, proving address or citizenship, but for the purposes of timeliness of this demo, I'm just going to keep it really simple. Go ahead and make this referral, choose which location, which SNAP office we're going to send this to. And I'm just going to collect consent to be able to send this. And by default, if it would auto-fill to the fax if we didn't have a recipient on the other end. So I've made this referral, and now I'm going to very briefly log in from the perspective of the Department of Transitional Assistance. So here we can see we've received the SNAP application with the PDF attachment. So we can go and we can look at the form or the attachment, we can print it out or attach additional documents. And in this case, we're just going to update the status of this to say Ruth has been enrolled in SNAP. So we have marked this as a completed referral. And then you're going to see that Betsy can go in and see that the loop has been closed. We've got a completed referral. She's been enrolled in SNAP, and then Betsy can go in if she wants, and she can indicate that we've actually achieved this goal, right? This goal's been completed, right? Because we've enrolled her in these programs, and she's no longer has food insecurity. So thanks, and that's all the time we have.
So thank you so much, Matt, for another excellent presentation. As with before, we are always happy to collaborate and to connect. This is my contact info, and please feel free to contact me if you're interested in learning more. Take care.